Today's episode of Northern Lights is presented by North Star Law Group, a trusted partner to small businesses in Minnesota's legal cannabis industry. Whether you've already applied for a license or are just getting started, attorney Jen Riza and her team can help you build a compliant business, identify and navigate risks, put together an application, and keep you informed about the ever-changing Minnesota cannabis landscape. Are you ready to add North Star to your team? Visit northstarlaw.com/cannabis and let North Star Law Group guide you through confidently opening your doors. Again, that's northstarlaw.com/cannabis. Are you a social equity applicant trying to save money on LED grow lights? Then here's some good news for you. You could get up to 75% off your lighting project, covered entirely by rebates, when you team up with a local nonprofit, Center for Energy and Environment. Since 2000, CEE has provided free energy consulting to Xcel Energy customers throughout Minnesota. Their team of lighting experts will help you get the highest rebates possible and take care of the paperwork so you don't have to. Starting a grow operation can be overwhelming, so take advantage of this free support from CEE. Go to mncee.org/GrowLED to sign up for your free consultation and find out how much you can save with lighting rebates. Again, that's mncee.org/GrowLED. Go get signed up today. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Northern Lights. I'm your host, Tanner, joined today by Steve and Jordan. Hey there, guys.
Hey, boys.
Hey, Tanner. Hey, Jordan. How you guys doing today?
Doing well. Another Friday in the studio. It's getting colder out. It's getting darker out earlier, but happy to be here at the Seed and Sesh.
Yeah. Shout out to Payne Avenue. We're out here in East St. Paul, and big ups to the Seed and the Sesh. Come get your drinks. Come get your raffle tickets. It's an exciting time. It's the holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got an action-packed episode today. We're going to be talking about the news in just a couple of minutes here. A little bit later, we've got an interview of sorts, an extended Tanner's Terp Tasting, if you will, with Sam Milstein himself. I'm so excited. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
We filled this table with hash. We gave some samples. We talked about it. So stick around. You can listen to that all the way through. And then, of course, at the end, we've got our high note that we're going to be doing. And it's a new month. So Natural Harvest is dropping a new seed for their subscription. So stick around and you can hear what that is and how to sign up for that.
Awesome. Yeah, shout out to Natural Harvest, the subscription seed box. Great idea for the holidays. And that was a marathon. That was a marathon with Milstein.
Yeah. All right. Well, so before we jump into any of that, though, we've got some housekeeping that we got to talk about first. We are throwing a party. We talked about it on our last episode. We're getting closer to the date.
Yes.
And people can still sign up for it. Let's run down. Steve, when is our party?
It's 12/20, December 20th. It's like right before the holidays. It's before you've got a ton of commitments, right? Mm-hmm. New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, Christmas falling right in the middle of the week. This is Friday, December 20th.
Bingo. So it's coming right before the holidays, a wonderful way to sort of begin that wind up, if you will, of the holiday season. 4 to 8 p.m., people can come and hang out here at the Seed and Sesh.
Yeah, Dabbler Depot, 951 Payne Avenue. We're going to be entering in on the 949 Payne Avenue. That's the store side where you can get drinks. Make sure to support the Dabbler Depot. Come into the Sesh side. That's 951. That's where we'll have vendors. It's looking like we'll have 5 or 6 vendors. King Bee, Moonlight, Natural Harvest, of course, our OGs like North Star Law Group and Union Bank and Trust. Plus, Dabbler Depot's got some tricks up their sleeve. So thanks to Kale and the whole team at Dabbler Depot for allowing us to host our holiday party.
I dig it. And right in front of us, on the table, between us, I guess, is a Storks and Bickel device. Why is that on the table? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Storrs and Bickel, big supporter of the work that we're doing together, and we were given devices, right around August, September, and this is the grand prize. So we're going to be raffling off Storrs and Bickel dryer vaporizers. We've got a Mighty, we've got a Crafty, but the Venti is their highest tier dryer vaporizer model. Super dope product. It heats up really quickly.
Nice. Okay.
And there's a lot of control with like the airflow with the Venti device.
Sweet. Well, never been disappointed by a Storks and Bickel device.
So. Yeah. It's got everything the Mighty has and then some.
Very cool. Well, so people can get raffle tickets at here, the Seed and Sesh location.
Yes.
They can get it at the other Dabbler Depot THC location in Minneapolis. Both the Twin Cities got it covered. And then, of course, at the party itself.
Yeah, we'll be opening up the doors at 4 o'clock. We're not recording that day, but we will be kind of throwing a party. So get your tickets. We've got RSVPs going. We've got a lot of people signed up, and we want to see you there. This is our only event, really, that we've hosted in a while, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it will be cool to see, who in the cannabis community comes out for this party, and looking forward to it. It'll be a good time.
Get your RSVPs in on Eventbrite. That's Northern Lights Holiday Party. Simple.
Yeah, we got the episode link in the show notes. You can go click on that, and it will bring you directly to where you can go and register link.
Yeah, thanks to Stores and Pickle.
All right, well, with that, let's jump into the news. Now, we're going to not talk a ton about the lawsuit that I know everyone is thinking, just because there's not a ton of updates on it. Kendrick, Drake, we just don't know exactly where either of those two are at in their lawsuit. So we're not going to have a ton to add on to that one.
Yeah, shout out to Christina Aguilera.
Do we think that song was bought and paid? I mean, I heard allegedly if you asked Siri to play the Drake song, she would play Not Like Us.
Right, the payola involved at the levels of the UMG and the DSPs.
Jordan, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Kendrick Lamar paid all of his fans to just stream his song a bunch?
I don't think he had to.
Why? Because he's not like us?
No, we don't pay for streams.
No, but our streams are going up.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, no, of course, the lawsuit that we're actually talking about, not Kendrick Drake, but is the OCM lawsuit. We don't have any updates because there's not been anything from the OCM or from the courts since our last episode. So we're still just waiting. But we've got a ton of other news that we're going to be digging into that's happened over the past couple of weeks in Minnesota. And the first one is one that, I got to be honest, I'm pretty disappointed to talk about.
Yeah, this dropped November 20-something.
Yep, yeah. Right sort of in the holiday season, as people were going away to Thanksgiving, we got a notice the OCM would not be expanding the medical delivery methods in Minnesota. So let's break down what that means. We talked about this on a past episode. People can go check out that conversation. But what we see here today is that they've opted to not allow medical patients to purchase dry powder vaporizers, infused flower products, or cannabis concentrates.
And that one, the last one, is the one that optimistically a lot of folks like you and I were interested in. Could have swayed the viewpoint on like where I buy my products.
Yeah.
I know that the medical companies were disappointed by this as well.
For sure. I was at a Canna Connect event one time. There was someone who worked for one of the medical companies. And I asked the question, like, why don't they make rosins and other concentrates? Like, that's what I'm looking for as a med patient. And it's really just because Minnesota won't allow them to.
Yeah.
It's not yet an approved delivery method. And what we saw here is that OCM was concerned about and I want to be specific about the phrasing, they're concerned about the increased risk of adverse health effects and of cannabis use disorder from people using higher concentrate of THC products.
I don't necessarily understand.
Yeah.
I think the OCM or the medical marijuana program throughout its existence has struggled to make sense from a cost standpoint in the beginning, with flower not being an option.
Totally. Especially with our medical program being set up, for people who got a referral from their doctor for a variety of different conditions, but also for people that are suffering from pretty significant illnesses. That is there an adverse risk of cannabis use disorder? Maybe. I haven't seen significant studies that show that, but maybe there is. But we're talking about people that are nearing the end stages of their life, that are looking for medication that can help to relieve those symptoms, people that are struggling with a variety of chronic conditions that this legitimately does help with. That is there a risk of use disorder? Maybe, but are they relieving legitimate medical illnesses
through stronger products that have a barrier to get over in order to access those products? Like you still have to do the legwork to get a card. You still have to show up and talk to the store.
Yeah.
There's not like an easy way for you now to get concentrates. I mean, if you're looking at it that way, you're not glass half full looking at cannabis as a medicine.
100%. And I'm especially disappointed because how our med program is set up today is that if you want to go and buy a product, you actually have to first meet with a pharmacist They're going to walk through, what are the available options? What are some of the concerns you should be considering? What are some of the benefits you might find? And so we already have a program in place to make sure that people that are maybe at increased risk to get cannabis use disorder or adverse health events, there's already a mechanism in place to make sure that those people don't get the product. It's the pharmacist. It's like saying we can't legalize opiates because there might be people that take it without needing it, but there's a lot of people that probably do need it. Like it's just such a ass-backwards approach.
I wonder if the OCM just like never saw Dope Sick or heard about the opiate crisis and like understood that drugs can be misutilized, even from doctors.
For sure.
I mean, that's just wild because cannabis is a safer alternative to opiates. I know that there's that swag clothing brand that says "fuck opiates." They make hats and they sell them at shows and things like that. And like, it's true. So this does nobody any good. If you're looking at it from a regulation model, concentrates are now only available in like a handful of places in Minnesota, and then otherwise they're traded and gifted on the underground. Like
for sure.
Like this is a bummer. I mean, you could look at this and say, well, hey, if medical can't sell concentrates early, that's a win for the licensed market that's coming online at some point in the future.
Yeah.
So maybe they're trying to keep balance, but that's not in patients. That's not a patient advocacy standpoint. That's a putting your hand on the scale kind of a move.
The one thing that I point to is maybe like not the silver lining, but perhaps an opportunity that this is better, is they ended their statement by saying the OCM is in the process of enacting new rules that will guide the medical cannabis program into the future. Approving new delivery methods that are impacted by rulemaking now would be premature while the process is underway.
Sure.
So perhaps there will be rules that come out in the future that include cannabis concentrates, that include infused flower, that include other methods for consumption. But as of right now, OCM is saying no.
Mark Dayton is kind of like the George W. Bush of Minnesota.
Yeah. He really, we can point to a lot of people. Paul Gazelka is another good one, as people that stood in the way of legalization, stood in the way of people getting medical access. But what's particularly disappointing about Mark Dayton is he's someone who was on the DFL side. Like he was the DFL governor who looked at the DFL legislature that was trying to enact a medical program and said, I just don't know.
Yeah.
And I think our state as a community, our medical cannabis program as an industry would be so much more ahead of where it's at today had that not been the move by the administration.
More beneficial.
Yeah, for sure. I recall very dearly this card that was left by a cannabis activist that said, "Get well soon," when he was going through surgery. And then it said right below it, "And please legalize medical cannabis." So let's move on to another story here. The OCM, I think, will continue to disappoint when it looks at rolling out the medical program because the medical program is pretty shit.
And that's what I was alluding to, right? Much was decided before the OCM was enacted.
Exactly. But so let's talk about some federal stories because Minnesota, we're at the standstill like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But federally, a lot continues to happen with cannabis. We're recording this right now as MJ BizCon is just wrapping up. National cannabis news is being made. And the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, I didn't forget that this time.
Bingo.
Is giving us some updates on that timeline of when cannabis is going to be rescheduled. This has been the slowest moving story. I remember having Jen on the podcast when we were audio only and talking about like, what could this mean if they decide to make this change?
Yes.
Now here we are, 2 years later, just about.
Yes.
And now we're getting a timeline of when these hearings are going to happen, when this process is really going to move forward. And we now know that the first part of those hearings are going to begin January 21st.
Oh, wow. January 21st. Yeah, I got to wait till after Martin Luther King Day for sure.
Yeah, so January 21st all the way through March 6th are going to be the hearings. They're going to have one group, one person testifying every day, sort of sprinkled throughout, really trying to figure out, should cannabis be rescheduled to Schedule 3? Is cannabis an addictive substance? Does it have health benefits Those are the two things that the court is going to have to evaluate.
I wonder how much of a public opinion measure that will have on states and regulators within those states like South Dakota, North Dakota.
For sure.
The judge criticized the DEA's lack of preparedness, noting that it disrupted the progress of the proceedings.
Yeah, so the DEA was asked to prepare a bunch of documents ahead of time to give them over to the court so they could evaluate, what kind of decision-making has been done thus far, what has the DEA, or what kind of things has the DEA been looking at as they've been evaluating building out this proposal, and they just provided nothing. Like the judge was really admonishing them and saying, hey guys, you need to give this to me. He gave them a new deadline saying, hey guys, you basically have like 2 weeks and I really, really need this time. It's a DEA judge. Like he works in the agency and he's pointing to the agency and saying, you guys, you're not doing your homework. So we'll see where this continues to go, but it shows us that we're not going to get any significant action on rescheduling until after March. All of these hearings need to happen. All of these arguments need to be included before that final decision can be made. So the idea that rescheduling was going to happen like right after the election, just wait, it's going to just switch over.
Yes.
Nah, we're going to be waiting a little bit.
It's crazy. Cannabis is still a Schedule I substance.
Yeah, I know. And I sometimes forget about that with all the things that we do and the way that I live my life and the way that my friends live their lives. But federally, all of this is still not okay. Like we live in this made up fantasy world of legalization, which is really nice and cool, but not where we're at federally. Another national news story, not on our show notes, but Texas just announced earlier today as we're recording that they're making steps to ban all hemp-derived THC, total zero THC state. And that has been a state where THCA has just like exploded.
Wow.
And so we as a community,
but they've also adapted the Minnesota model as well. They've really ran with low dose.
They have, but they're looking at banning all THC even in low dose.
Because that's Texas.
Good old Texas.
That's fucking Texas, man.
Yeah. I remember a year ago when I was trying to figure out like, well, what does the national industry look like for cannabis? Sure, we have these beverages here, but where else are people trying to sell them to? And everyone was saying Texas. Texas is where you're looking to go to.
Right.
Who knows?
Granny went to Texas.
Granny went to Texas. Well, let's talk about another granny. No. Let's talk about Biden. So
Hunter or Joe?
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about them both. So we're going to join the chorus of people talking about the hot political gossip of this day, which is that Hunter Biden, the son of the president, has now received a pardon. All Gucci, all Maine, on anything that could have happened for years. Perhaps one of the most sweeping pardons to ever be issued.
You graduated high school 2014?
Yep.
So everything you've done since high school, good or bad, pardoned by the president.
Oh, wow. My entire adult life. But for Biden, wow. So, yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be pretty chill.
Not that you're in a heap of trouble.
No, but man, like I'll never say no to a pardon. I don't think I did anything wrong, but can't say no to that.
Hey, he's not the only turkey that got pardoned.
I was gonna ask, like, what if Tanner's, rap sheet has at least 5 notable things on it? What are they?
Oh, I don't know if I want to add to this conversation.
Dabs.
Yeah.
More dabs.
See, and that's the thing is it's all cannabis based.
Yeah. No doubt. And shout out to Doc Dabs.
Yeah. And I'll throw this in. Prior to August 1st, when legalization happened, any amount of cannabis concentrate was a felony. Mm-hmm. Any amount. And so was I a felon every single day?
That's what I'm talking about.
Technically, yeah. So I'd love a pardon for that. That'd be pretty chill.
Come on, Joe.
But so the reason
let's get Joe on the podcast.
Joe, come on.
Do you think I've heard that the Democrats are trying to do more like podcast type media?
Right.
I think we got to throw Northern Lights into that ring. If you want to run for governor,
yes,
come on our podcast. I think the next governor of Minnesota should be able to rip a giant dab.
And I'm kidding here, but what if we got Joe Biden and Travis Cullen to sit down on the Northern Lights podcast?
Bingo. So let's transition back because that is why we're talking about this today. We're not a political podcast. We're not here to talk about political news. But the reason that we wanted to talk about this is because we've now had the precedent set of Biden saying, when the law looks like it's potentially wrong, I should use my power to step in and right that.
Yes.
We also exist in a world where Biden has said himself, no one should be in jail for marijuana. And now we're sitting at a point where we're coming into the ending months of Biden being president, and there are nearly 3,000 people in federal prison for cannabis offenses as of today, as we're recording this.
Yes.
He could use that same power, that same grant that he gave to his son to other people for doing activity that today is now legal in many states across our country.
To forever change the trajectory of the cannabis and marijuana industry.
Yeah.
This would allow 3,000 people to go free.
Yeah. I think he could set a precedent. He could make a name for himself. He could, whatever metaphor you want to use here, throw in. I think he could really say, I want to be a president that is about righting wrongs. And this is another opportunity to do that in his last few months in office.
As we learned, though, as the conversation developed locally, the issue comes up when there's other crimes involved with marijuana trafficking, for example.
For sure. Yeah. And that's what continues to get interesting about this is just to sort of not push back, but to say that I think this is a unique opportunity. A lot of those people could qualify for reduced sentences if they had less convictions on their record. Where getting pardoned, getting this removed from that record could be something that would allow them to move closer towards, becoming a part of society again. But I don't disagree with you. There is.
And the war on drugs is a failed war.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be criminalizing people for drugs.
Totally. I saw a wonderful conversation on the Minnesota Trees community coming up again on the podcast where there were a lot of people pushing back on this saying, hey, the case that Travis Cullen posted about, they moved pounds and pounds across state. We shouldn't be, granting clemency to people that did large traffic. We should just sort of grant it to smaller scale. And I hear what you're saying, but I think it comes back to the point of, at the core, the war on cannabis is wrong.
Yes.
And were there people that broke the law in more significant ways than others? For sure, but I only was able to consume cannabis because there were people out there driving across state lines, importing into the country, growing it, processing it, whatever be it.
Upstanding the supply chain.
Exactly. I refer to those people as fighters in the trenches in the war on drugs. And we fucking won. Cannabis is legal, not because the government, was like, hey, this is really cool and we'd love to move forward with this, but because people continued that fight. These people are the reason that we have legalization today. And so I really think, me personally as Tanner Brace, this isn't Minnesota Cannabis College saying this.
Right.
I think Biden should move forward before he gets his time, out of office.
If he's going to impact the Ukrainian war, he should impact the war on drugs as well.
1,000% agree. So come on, Biden. Ben and Jerry's made a great call for this. They used the phrase similar to what you said earlier. This week, President Biden pardoned 2 turkeys and his son. And it's so spot on. If you can pardon 3 turkeys, you should at least pardon some cannabis people as well.
Wow. Bowling for Biden.
Bowling for Biden. Wow. Well, let's be done talking about politics and national news.
Yeah.
Let's be done talking about Minnesota news for today.
Yeah.
We still have some really exciting stuff in this episode, though. We're going to be trying some gummies in just a few minutes here. We're going to be having Sam come in the studio. We're going to be doing some dabs, talking about hash culture, some of the amazing terps that exist out there today. And then coming at the end of today's episode, we got a high note. Yeah, that was so good. I've not seen those fruit buttons before. That was a really neat gummy.
It's shaped like a button.
Yeah.
And it's made of fruit.
Yeah. But don't say anything more. People have to stick around for that segment. Go check it out because, yeah, that's a neat one. All right. Well, let's take a short break here. When we get back, we're going to be having Sam come in the studio, and then we're going to try some edibles.
Mom, can you watch the kids on Friday?
Oh, I forgot to ask Sam how his mom is doing. First mom to make it on the podcast is Sam. So, Sam, if you're listening, get your mom in the studio. All right. We'll be right back. Are you ready to kick off your home grow? We've got the perfect hookup for you. MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. They've got everything from fast flowering strains to unique hybrids, all ready for growing in Minnesota. And guess what? Our listeners get an exclusive deal. Use the code NL10 for a 10% discount on your entire order. Don't miss out. Get the best seeds and start your grow strong with MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. Remember, NL10 for 10% off. That's MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. grab your seeds today. And we're back. So it's another month. It is December now, which means it's time for another seed of the month. Casey, super happy to have you back here from Natural Harvest. How's it going?
Hey, Tanner. Great to be back again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so people remember from last month, we talked about the subscription seed service that you guys have. People got those slurricane seeds. One is likely going in my tent right now. And I'm excited to have you back to talk about the cultivar of the month that we got going on this month.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Blue Dream Auto.
Okay, all right.
Pretty exciting strain. A lot of familiarity.
Yeah, that's a classic. I heard a joke one time from the grower, Danny Danko, that said, new growers love Blue Dream. And then there's like this peak where you think you know everything about growing and you're like, I hate Blue Dream. That's a beginner grower thing. And then you get to the other side of that hump and you're like, wow, now I get why everyone likes Blue Dream. It's one of those staple things for a reason. It's one of those cultivars you can always turn to and know you're going to get a product that you like out of it.
Absolutely. I agree.
And so you said this month is a Blue Dream Auto. Just for people who don't know, what's different from that standard regular seed versus an auto seed?
Sure. Yeah. So most of the autos you see is mixed with a ruderalis to get it to flower and not be light dependent.
Okay.
So a lot of like new growers, or if you grow outside places in Minnesota, up north and things where we have a very limited season, it doesn't require a change in the light cycle, which is really great. You know,
Awesome.
Takes a step out of the equation, makes it a little bit easier.
Very cool. Yeah, I've heard before that autos are like such a great entry point for people that maybe have never grown before. Maybe you're a little nervous about like setting the light schedule, which really isn't that hard. But let's say you're looking to figure out what's that best entry point. I think Blue Dream Auto, that's really what I would recommend for people that are looking to really get started.
Love it. Yeah, we think the same.
And so it's December, which means for a lot of people, it's sort of the holiday time. If people were looking to get some seeds and maybe take that box and wrap it up, could they order these as a gift for maybe a loved one or a friend?
Absolutely. Yeah, available on our website, minnesotacannabisseeds.com, and let's go to the subscriptions tab.
Awesome. Cool. Well, this is a classic. I'm so excited that you guys have Blue Dream up on deck this month. So excited for people to get those seeds. Even though it might not be a new cultivar to many people, I think it's one of those classics that, like I said at the beginning, it's a classic for a reason. And I'm excited to get some Blue Dream into my tent.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much, Casey. We'll be right back in just a minute. And we're back. I'm here with the man, the myth himself,
The doctor.
Sam Milstein. Welcome.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you here. You've been on this show before, so we're not going to do like the whole who are you, what are you, but in like a sentence or two. Who are you, what are you?
Name's Sam Milstein. Been selling weed for a long time. Look to do that legally in the rec market in Minnesota.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to have you in here today. Today, what we're going to be doing is sort of an extended version of Tanner's Terp Tasting, where we've got a bunch of oil. We're going to be talking through it. I'd also love to hear a little bit more about, a little bit like your history with some of this, what brings you to some of these profiles.
Sure.
But let's just start off by asking the question, what should we try a dab of first?
God, that's a good question. You know what, dude? Let's go out of Minnesota. Let's get this one out of the way. And
Okay.
then I think the rest of what I brought that we'll dive into has some kind of connection, at the very least, if it wasn't grown and washed here.
Sweet. I love
But
it.
that Pistol Whip or the straw, what is it? Straw Guava from Pistol Whip, the straw nano
Oh, yeah.
papaya. I'm kind of a strawberry hater
Mhm.
because
You okay if I bust this open?
please, man, no, that's the last time I want you to ask that. Cyrus, our boy from Vital,
Yeah.
told me, he was like, dude, Jack Terps are kind of out. And I was like, what? I love Jack Terps. And then the next time I smoked Jack, I was like, bro, it gets in my head. And so, there's some Jack and strawberry and
Yeah.
that'll just seep through a lot. And like now that's like all I can think about when I hit a lot of these strawberry strains. And that in particular gives me the strawberry without that kind of leans more into that like rotten papaya.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
Ripe papaya, maybe not rotten, but yeah, rip that down. Let's get going here because we got to get a lot of flavors to get through, and that is it's a special one. But we got a lot of
Oh yeah, yeah.
We
So
got
we're
a
gonna be
lot of
starting
full
just
ones
with
on
the
the
Puffco
table.
here, just a usual low temp dab. I'll go ahead and scoop some of this up. Yeah, I've really been loving strawberry dab, or not strawberry, banana dabs. That's been something new. That's sort of been a terp profile that I've been exploring a bit more of.
About
I have
a year or two over here.
Yeah. I have a jar of some honey bananas that I got from Minnesota Dabs that I think really does a good job of displaying what that banana profile is. So I'm excited to try this stuff.
We'll get to mine later, what I did with my father over the summer and had Johnny Wash at
Okay.
Minnesota Solving List. There's some good honey banana in there.
Ooh, all right. I'm excited for that one. And so I'm going to be heating up on the Puffco, but tell us a little bit about that glass piece that you have there.
A Mad A. You know, some people listening to the pod will definitely know him. A lot of people not listening to the pod will definitely know him. Local glass blower that, you know, designs gorgeous glass, but also is just the homie. And I think that's part of the reason for not just his, but a lot of people's success is because they're tight people and
Yeah, for
people
sure.
want to be around them and be around what they do.
Yeah, he's a Golden Valley kid, and I remember started getting into the glass scene, taking a class at Skylab. Shout out Skylab, David, and learning a little bit more about what glass was, and everyone was excited about a Mad A class. Being like, all
Was
right,
that Golden? Was Skylab's in?
Yeah,
Golden
right over in
Valley?
Golden Valley.
So he was set up with Boro Ben.
yeah, for
Right.
sure. Congruent Chris, that case, like that whole crew is over there. And what I love about that is I went to that class thinking like, all right, this is some like internationally trained artist. He went to Italy. He learned how to blow glass. Like this is a cool guy.
It's from your backyard.
Yeah, he's from 6 blocks from where the studio is. And so
fucking A-list.
hearing that I grew up not far from him, hearing that we went to, you know, the exact same school district, like you're now out there kicking ass in the glass community,
Right.
making incredible pieces.
And you know, we got a Eric Ross banger on there. Shout out
Okay.
E Ross. The reason that my only bangers are E Ross bangers is because all my other bangers broke. Does that
all
make
right,
sense?
there we go. Yeah,
You know
for
what
sure.
I'm saying? Like it's like kind of just survival of the toughest with
Quality banger.
right. And guy is also the man. You know, I don't know a lot of people that don't just love E Ross, right?
Mm-hmm.
So shout out Eric. I need a new whistle. I always lose mine, dude.
All right, so let me first comment on the chirps, and then I have another question for you. That one was incredible. Super great banana. I think, you know, you're so spot on that it's not the rotten fruit that you're getting. It's like that fresh fruit. It's not that Laffy Taffy banana. It feels like banana fruit. That's a good one. I like that. Shout out Pistol Whip. Out of Minnesota, but
Yeah,
excited to have you here in Minnesota.
Right.
So a question for you. You were talking about a banger there, which is for people who maybe don't know more about the glass community, that is that piece right there, which you're going to be doing the dab on. When did you sort of come into dabbing? It's a community that has evolved a lot from the, you know, the hot knife of the early days to the incredible glass that we have today. Were you doing titanium dabs? Were you doing capless dabs? You know,
Shout out Joel Vertilny, like Como, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
at the U, but just not on university, 2009.
yeah, absolutely.
800 degrees. And I like couldn't really walk back to my house.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the fuck was that? You know, all right. So I'm going to give you a quick evolution here because, it's a really like, I think cut and dry story, like pretty simple, you know. Hash oil, butane extracted hash came about that time, and from then until, you know, 14, 15, 16, where we had the bubble and the titanium nail or that little glass looking golf tee thing.
Yeah, for sure. Mhm.
You know, you'd cap the bubble and create the pressure with your thumb and rip the bong, and like that was fun and it'll get you really high, but you know, it was a hassle and it hurt like hell. And
Yeah, there
you
were
know.
some really heady caps that people had, but it wasn't like the community of today. It was more like
seemed
artistic
dirty,
type
bro.
pieces.
It seemed, you know, and the
Yeah.
BHO was gross a lot of the times. There were times where you'd get like straight nug run and something would be super tasty, but at the end of the day, we were like, you know what, shit, herb is better
Yeah.
than this for us for now. And because of that, I think it took us a little bit longer to warm up to rosin.
Did you start with glowies? Were that was sort of a thing that you did?
I mean,
or-
we got the titanium nail red hot because we didn't have fucking dab rights, and
Yeah.
we waited for it to cool down for a second, but not that long. Like you would hear your dab.
Yeah, for sure. Would you also do sort of like the back of the hand? The like, all right, that feels warm. Let's go.
We got to a point where we'd be doing that. You know, my buddy said, "Oh, set a timer. This, that, this." I said, "Okay," but I would never like, all right, just to smoke this. Let's fucking. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then we stopped smoking concentrates because it just wasn't. We weren't doing it right, and the concentrates weren't right for us. And rosin came out, and I went out to Oregon 2018-19, and the first gram of rosin I ever bought came in a flat envelope, and it was in between two clear pieces of cellophane.
Yep.
From a dispensary. It was like, I don't even know full spec or if it was just a nug press or what it was, but it was brown and it probably didn't taste great. You know, it wasn't until, because we'd go back and forth for a little bit, you know, maybe grab a nice gram of concentrate or bubble or this or you know, the fact that like we had these like hash pens probably helped kind of bring it back into the fold, but it wasn't until 710 Labs and their sour tangy.
Bingo. Yeah.
That I was like, what the fuck? How can you? I had grapefruit weed, and I had, you know, lemon OG and any kind of like gas, dirty taxi, GMO. Like we've had fun flavors of weed, but never was I able to I guess drill down or isolate for these flavor profiles that I found present in that jar.
Bingo. So let's put a pause in the story quick, because now we're going to make this an interactive thing. So what I've got here is some tangy tits from Sugar Magnolia Farms. We said we were done with out of state, but actually I got one more out of state. Perfect. And it feels very fitting with you talking about sour tangy, because that's a profile that I think has faded a bit in popularity. But for a minute, that was the profile.
Well, you had put I thought the Spotify rap thing you put up was so funny with the super boof again. What was the first thing on there?
So the first thing on there was just mid unknown BHO.
Okay, I thought you were going for GMO, because I feel like I have seen a lot of kids go after the chem and the GMO this year.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's kind of just like the old school. It was either stayed or came back or whatever. You know, maybe never really left.
But yeah, Super Boof is sort of like the modern day version of Tangy, where you're still getting a lot of that orange. You're getting a little bit more of the creamy orange than that sour Tangy is known for. But yeah,
I love it, dude. You know I'm a Tangy slut. Sorry, you can edit that out.
No, we'll keep it in, because I am too. We're gonna hold this up to your nose so you can smell it as you're heating that.
I get you. So yeah, in a lot of Tangy, I'll find jars that, you know, are straight clean Tangy, and then some are like dirty Tangy. Like you get a little bit of that earth dirt in there, and I'm kind of getting that off the nose of that.
Yeah.
Doesn't always come through the smell. Ooh, dude, Eric isn't going to like this. All right, we got to get that back in the ISO because I'm seeing stuff on it.
Shout out Eric Ross.
Rip this for the time being.
So what you're doing, for people who maybe aren't dabbers, if that's new to you, you didn't see our 420 episode last year, you're heating up the nail. We're going to be putting the cannabis concentrates right in there. Ooh, Ted's Trees tool. Is that what you got there? Maddie.
There we go.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Shout out Ted. That kid's the man too. Shout out like Ted and Cedric for being two dudes that kind of like welcomed me into, you know, kind of like those sessions, right?
Yeah,
you
for
go
sure.
and it's just a bunch of people with the most insane rigs you've ever seen. I had never been in a situation like that, and those kids were super welcoming. Gerbs, if you know Brian, just super welcoming, and hey, here's how we do this, and you know, kind of. Here's etiquette, and you know, I was really high. Like you could feel maybe sometimes otherwise uncomfortable in a situation like that. But shout out those boys. Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've got a big chunk of outdoor hemp that I'm going to be giving to Ted. He's going to be chopping it up, turning it into a tool sort of like that.
Wow.
It's going to be hemp-based, Minnesota grown.
That's really dope. Okay, so we're at 550. I like to let this one drop to about 500. At least
Okay.
that's what my dab right says.
For sure.
This is an old dab right. I've had it for years, and so I think, you know, calibration might be a little bit off.
Yeah.
But you just gotta learn your own dab right?
For sure. And that's, as you're taking that dab, I'll explain it. I've heard people before describe it as a dab wrong. You know, it's like, oh, it's going to give you the wrong temp. And the trick is that it's calibrated to itself. Once you learn what your dab right reads at, once you learn what your nail really likes to get taken at, it's going to give you a much better idea. Yeah, if you're going to hit someone else's dab right, it might be a little bit harder, but oh man. Oh,
Tan, man. All tangy. A little bit of the dirty, but not as much as usual. And I don't say that ever as a bad thing. I love it. You know what I get? Talking about this earlier today. I get a lot. I get sweet, dude. I get the Ecto Cooler.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh. See, and this is like my favorite profile that I find in terpenes is when you get that orangey, citrusy. For me, this is just like so uplifting and energizing. I remember going back to sort of our own cannabis history. When I first started doing concentrates, really learned about that world. I had a buddy of mine who had this orange shatter that was blasted in Minnesota. And those were some of the...
remember that, though.
Yeah, those were some of the first dabs that I remember doing and saying like, wow,
The flavor.
this is flavorful. This isn't just like, man, I'm getting the effect
You
I
know
want.
why, Tanner? And I don't know if you've
So
realized
unfortunately,
that
I do know why. And it's so shaming when people learn the story. And it sort of shows that I maybe wasn't doing dabs the best way back in the day.
Right, dude.
Is what are the dabs that hit at that highest temperature that are going to be retained? It's that orangey, tangy one. So if you're taking dabs really, really hot, you're literally burning the rest of the terpenes.
Okay.
And you're keeping behind so much of the orange.
No, so that's not what I was saying. But
Oh, what were you going to say then?
I was just zooming back. I was kind of being just goofy and facetious, but when you don't have to put a lighter, just to zoom out for the people who, you know, might not only smoke rosins, like a lot of us are kind of leaning towards these days, is when you don't have to put a lighter to it and combust a dried material, and I can vaporize something with pressure and not just heat. Bro, my flavor. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, shout out to the people that have just been pushing this innovative hash world. Like I think back to, and we've got some hash that we're going to be opening in a little bit here, but thinking to some of the ways that people were making cannabis concentrates 15 years ago to the ways that people are making them today. There's been such an evolution in technology, in culture, in
Shout
the
out to the
plant.
dude that came out with bubble bags.
Yeah, for real.
You know, I mean, but to your credit, it's just a straight evolution of, you know, the woven baskets and the right. So
Yeah.
very cool. Thousands of years process. Because I was just explaining to somebody, and they kind of looked at me funny that, you know, they aren't as familiar with the state of the market, I'd say. And I was like, you know, this thing just came out 7-8 years ago in the public's eye, but I don't think, if I was to make a guess, I don't think that there will be another like fundamental change like this for the rest of our lives. That would be my guess. You know, I would assume that they will come out with more efficient and effective methods of extracting rosin.
Yeah, but I agree with you. It's going to be like the Puffco changed dabbing for me because it made consuming the concentrates easier. It wasn't a new way of making the concentrates.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. And here's the thing, dude, with your pivot that I'm really excited to check out, and with my Aries, these are things that are making this, and dude, do I have mine in my pocket? Oh, God. Look how easy that is. You know, these pens. That are just making it so accessible for
Shout out
everybody.
O2.
Right, yeah, they do a good job. You know what? We'll just put this on the table,
So
too.
keep going with the story you were telling me before. So you sort of came into dabbing. You had Sour Tangy be one of those early profiles that like stood out to you.
How can something grown that isn't oranges that I'm smoking taste just like oranges?
Yeah.
I then came back home and found a half ounce of, you know, I didn't have a rosin guy locally, and I called somebody. I said, call this guy, and was able to grab a half ounce of what I think was probably GMO. He called it maybe garlic something, but I think
For
it
sure.
was maybe just straight GMO.
Cool.
This was, I'm pretty sure, I mean, it was the first GMO rosin I probably ever had,
Mhm.
but the most garlicky
Mm.
tasting anything that I, other than garlic again itself. And I was
Yeah.
just like, how is this possible? Two very different things from the same plant. And I know that this stuff can taste like different stuff, but to that extent,
Totally.
to isolate those specific flavors with, again, the same plant, two different flavors is just mind blowing to me. And so at that point, I realized, all right, there's probably more to this, and clearly there is, because we have 20 different flavors on this table that if you spent enough time with, you'd probably be able to score pretty well on a blind taste test.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah, I remember people first starting to talk about like, oh, this weed tastes like oranges, or this tastes like garlic, and thinking at the time like, my weed tastes like weed,
Right.
and realizing later like, oh, it's because I was smoking really not great flower, and I didn't have access to concentrates with just such a truer expression
And
of
there's levels of
that
these
flavor.
too, right? Like, we tried really hard, me and my dad, and Johnny made some great full spec for us. We didn't grow enough to, really separate spectrums. And I don't know if you want to just try this one, Matt.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about, so you guys grew this. What is this that you grew?
This is a really special one for me. So shout out
Ooh,
Potsy.
That has a fun flavor to it.
Steve, did you get one of these pens? Awesome. We made it into pens because, again, my dad doesn't have like a rig. My dad's not a pot smoker. My
Yeah.
dad grows weed because it's like a funny, kitschy thing that he gets to like joke around with his friends about, at his house. And he'll smoke, I think, maybe a couple times a year, maybe more than he lets on. But that's not the point. It's just a fun thing for him to do. And so he grew some banana lychee. This is a new strain to us called Banachi. I'm not sure how much we loved that, but there's that. I grew some sour garlic honey banana. And then I started and he finished a plant of OGZ. So there's a mix of flavors in that jar.
Cool.
And what I get out of it is kind of like that deep honey gas with like a little, maybe that, like a little zip of the Z.
Very trendy these days.
I have a buddy who I've been doing this with for 20 years. And who smokes copious amounts of weed, that a couple years ago, we're on the phone and he said, oh, smoking rosin is going to get lipids in your lungs or whatever. You just need to smoke a herb. He just didn't know. They came over to my house a couple months ago, sat him down with the rig, said, you got to try this. In fact, maybe it was a pen. I think it was a pen that I had that had some Z-terps in it. And he said, dude, this tastes like making money in 2015. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's been out there for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Skittles has, but I don't know if it's making a comeback or what, because it's starting to come into my peripheral,
Yeah.
within the last year. And it might be Cyrus again. These younger kids love their Z. And bro, we got a little click. We started Gen Z, right, with these younger kids.
It's so true. Well, I mean, looking at like the recent cups that we've had around the country, the crosses have been
Won
at the
everything.
top.
Yes.
In fact, I'm trying to think of Masters of Rosin. There was one recently
Within
where
the last couple of weeks.
3 of 3 were
Right.
Zittles crosses.
Right. It was like ZXZ was one of them, I
Yeah.
think.
So I'm going to interject here just to
Please.
talk about what it
Is
is that we're
that
going to be heating
whole
up.
thing the pivot?
So just
It's
the
small.
bottom battery this is a chamber up top that we're going to be just putting on our rig attachment. So this is what Puffco released not that long ago.
So cool. It's
pretty
How much
easy.
was it?
So the pivot itself, I think, is like 120, 140. The attachment is like $40. So
This gets me so excited, not about like, oh, I could use a fun device, but like, no, everybody can use an accessible device. Now people don't have to buy a torch and a dab right and a dunk tank and a rig. Shout out Matt A. It's like I can go into the store and spend $130, which is the same price I would spend on any like nice smoking accessory, probably maybe a couple dollars more.
yeah. Wow. I like that a lot, man.
Shout out Howie.
Yeah, you get some of that banana. I almost would describe it as like sunscreeny, but in a wonderfully positive
You'd
way.
appreciate that, dude. These guys take care of their, dermatologic health.
There we go.
Sorry.
I think that's the first time that word has been said on this show. So shout out to
It may be the first time the word has been said ever. It might not be a word. Dermatological health. All right, whatever.
Wow, dude, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Good growing.
And then that's Vital product. It's some of the soil is Cornell's.
Okay, for sure.
Some of it's Vitals. I'm running Vital right now. I'm having a
Clean.
great time.
Very nice, man.
Yeah.
I
Thanks,
like it.
dude. Thank you.
That's a good one.
And I'll scoop you out a little to-go gram.
Ha, I appreciate it. So, question for you. We were talking about sour tangy. What's one of those trends, we were also talking about Skittles, that you remember just like taking over your friend group or your community?
This is like, it's like a meatball you're throwing me. I'm going to give you the easy one, but then let me think of like another
for sure.
good one, because the easy one's Blue Dream in 2010.
All right, for sure.
Let me think of like, I will say, 2008, 9, 10, there were, and people remember the grapefruits and gravities that were around town. It was a specific grower, so not necessarily like a strain fad, but more like a grower. I remember Green Queen and Green Crack shortly after that.
Yeah.
Strain trends. I started selling cars and probably was not as in tune with actual strain trends.
No, I think that's so fair.
I remember the ice creams and the cookies, obviously of the 2015s, but that's pretty much what I got for you.
No, I think that's fair. So just to like
low-level answers.
Connect, I came to cannabis around 2013, 2014. Like not aware of the community itself, but just like started smoking weed for the first time. And so the first trend that I really remember taking over was like GMO garlic.
That's wild to me because I wasn't there for that trend, bro.
Interesting. See, and I wasn't there for cookies. I wasn't there. Like wedding cake was like the big one. Like Gary Payton is a recent one.
Volkswagens.
Yeah, interesting. Well, so it's cool having you here to hear a little bit about the terp profiles before I was able to really know what was going on.
Hey, shout out to anybody who's ever shared those Tide Stick stories with me. Those, bro, you weren't there for Beasters. And people will tell you about those fine gentlemen, probably with the tiny semi-autos that were importing from moldy warehouses in British Columbia, and there wasn't really THC in it by the time I got to you. It looked like there might be, but it had decarbed into CBN. And we didn't understand the science behind why it made you exhausted and not high.
Yeah. I'm getting real sleepy.
What is this? Anyways.
Well, we're going to take a short break here. When we get back, we're going to do some more dabs. We're going to talk about some more stories behind some of these cultivars. And I'm excited to get your perspective on a new one that we have in the studio here today.
Dude, I'm pumped. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Ever felt like running a cannabis business means running in circles just to get basic banking? Union Bank and Trust gets it. They've been helping cannabis businesses for over 10 years, solving problems like securing accounts, managing cash flow, and navigating regulations. No more jumping through hoops, no more runarounds. Just straightforward banking solutions built on trust, integrity, and performance. That's unionbankandtrust.com.
Hello, I'm Allie Mann, co-founder of Moonlight Cannabis, and today I'd like to introduce you to Moonshot. This is our newest product at Moonlight Cannabis. It is our first beverage. It has 10 milligrams of THC and 10 milligrams of CBG in a 2-ounce fluid serving. It is wild cherry flavored. Think of like Kool-Aid or a cherry popsicle. It's really reminiscent of that flavor. The combination of THC and CBG is uplifting. CBG is a brain activator. The effects we have listed on here are good times and high vibrations, and that's very factual for how you're going to feel when you take this, right?
I really like when it's cold because it's glass, so it'd be a cold moon shot, 2 o'clock, you know, kind of when I'm getting through the day, a little tired, hit the moon shot, and it gets me through the rest of the workday.
It's great for on the go. It's glass. It's got a resealable top so you can pop it in your bag, throw it in your pocket, bring it to a concert, a game, what have you. It's just a good, quick little option if you don't want to drink a larger beverage or have something that opens and you can't reclose again. There are no artificial flavors, no added sugars. It's all clean, all good for you. And you can find Moonshot at all Twin Cities Dabbler Depot locations.
And we're back.
Should I fire her up?
Let's do it. So I'm really excited. I've got something else I want to share with you. I'm sure you've got more stuff that you want to share with me. But let's sort of come into this with a specific question. Do you like the fruity terp profiles? Or do you much prefer
notorious.
sort of like the gassy, funky ones?
I do love gas at night. Tony Nielsen and Casey Hedekin told me that I love gas, and they didn't tell me, they taught me.
Okay.
Shout out the Chem, Black Onion, you know, what was that other one that they were running? Probably just a GMO, something like that.
Yeah, I've been told that
boys,
there's a
wow.
big bad wolf that you should give a try to.
Okay. Yeah, no, and that's why I'm excited about this OMFG. Casey was always in my ear about that. I love those boys, man. This Maple Fumes from Tony right now is just spectacular. I've never, again, what's fun about hash is I can tell you I've truly never had something like that, and the flavor is so substantial, but it's so new and different. Bro, I'm so
Let's do that
riddled
one
with
next. So
the
shout out
flavors.
Northland Hash. I'm excited to give that one a try. What's the temp that you like to? You said earlier you generally go in around like 500.
You got it. This nail, I do 525.
All right, there we go. I posted I now have officially 100 followers on Instagram. Very exciting.
Congratulations. I'm
Thank
one
you.
or two of them.
There we go. Tanner's Terp Tasting. Follow me. I put a poll on there. How should I celebrate 100 followers? Do a dab or do a dab? And I had someone that commented, do a 600-degree dab on camera. And you know what? I'll do it. Not on your nail. Not on your nail.
We can do a 600-degree dab on my nail. I'm sure the ISO will take care of it, but we're not in the maple fumes.
God, no. We've got
savoring the
some,
flavor.
some outro that we'll use for that. But so shout out,
Sorry,
thanks for the suggestion. But now I'm excited to give this a try.
You see the jam? Are the
Dude.
rest of his jars like that?
Oh yeah, check this out.
I have
It's
a
like
feeling I know
saucy.
why he's doing that, but I don't hate it. And by I don't hate it, I mean I love it.
Yeah, rosin jam is something that has become a little bit more popular recently, along with solventless THCA diamonds.
Which is wild. I had those. I thought, how the fuck is that possible? And I had them myself. I don't know, last year. At some point, it's not really for me because my point in smoking isn't really to get high. My point in eating is more so to get high.
Okay, that's fair.
My point in smoking is to savor the flavor.
To enjoy it.
Exactly. I want you to try. Will you try these?
Oh, gladly.
Try it after because I want you to get the full maple flavor here, but we can talk about those after
Sweet.
we're done with. Thanks, Tony.
Maple fumes. So this is a cross between black maple number 9 and candy fumes. Candy fumes, of course, has that swamp water fumes in the family. We're getting to the point now where a few years ago I used to be able to tell you plant lineage. I don't think I can do it with that many there.
Bro, there's so many, and there's so many names that have nothing to do with the strains because there's no names left, right?
Yeah, we got to do another episode or another segment of which of these is a fake strain name.
Bob Hash Plant.
Kembob Hash
Shout out.
Plant.
Bro, do you get, so I've never before had, I feel like we haven't dove into
that's
the
wonderful.
actual flavor of this enough. I feel like I've never before had, people are talking about the styrofoam cup, the permanent marker, but like the fume, like it's like putting your head in a thing of like ammonia or something like that. Like there's like a chemical fume, not chem, but like a chemical fume flavor to it.
Yeah.
That is overpowering in just the best way.
Yeah, I would compare it similarly, like I'm standing in a parking garage and like I don't have like vapor of a car just like rolling in my face, but I definitely can just smell like the ambient, just like there's fumes in here. And I get so much of that off there. That's really good, man.
You got a little bit of that Z-Zip. Not great nighttime smoke.
Shout out to Northland Hash. I was having a conversation with some people earlier today of like, what are some of those top tier Minnesota processors? And I feel like over the past few years, Minnesota has really developed a number of people that are doing some really cool washing, some really cool growing, some really cool just things with this plant in Minnesota.
We know a lot about a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
I'll bet there's even a couple we don't know about.
Absolutely.
We just got to freeze dry.
Yeah. Ooh, all right.
Not that I'm trying to step to anybody, but I'm gonna be practicing ourselves.
Well, and that's the thing that I've loved about this is, so I have one of those like washing machines for
The little blue one.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
Bubble magic.
there we go. And what I think is so great about that is I also don't consider myself a processor by any stretch of the imagination, but it's cool to be able to experiment at home, learn more about this plant. I feel like I've grown so much in my appreciation of rosins and oils since I've started growing and making my own of, you know, like it's real. There's nothing harder than taking that 3x3 tent down and washing it and being like, well, all right, this is what I have left over. Like, neat. And it really makes you appreciate the amount of work that goes into that 2-gram jar that you're getting.
It's almost like rock tumbling. It's like such a long process if you ever did that.
Yeah.
For like a pretty cool result. But what I like about washing as opposed to drying and curing is I can't dry and cure. Like I fuck it up every time. I don't have the right conditions. I don't know how to do it. I've only done it 8 times. So I just screwed my terps, my 3.5, my 5 months of work evaporates literally into thin air.
Oh, you just need a machine that does it.
I need a Canitrol.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what
I'm pointing at our buddy David out there. He gave me some
advocates for
2
Canitrols?
samples of flour, one that was dried traditionally, one in the Canitrol.
Okay,
and it
so
was,
it was a Canitrol?
insane, the difference between the two of them.
Okay. And I'm sure that would do it for me. But I came to washing before the Canitrol came into my peripheral.
Fair.
And it's just such an easier way for me to not fuck up 5 months of work.
So fair. Well, so I brought another thing that I want to show off to you, and then we'll get to sort of our grand finale. But I brought in a jar of some Bubble Mama that I've really been loving recently. Another jar, not from Minnesota.
You said that. I don't know if I'm familiar with that.
So they're out of the West Coast. They're a washer. The reason that I brought this jar and why I want to show it off is because we've not often talked about the importance of genetics when making good quality rosin. You can have the exact same Tangy 17 times, but if you have the one that people call the washer that really has the yield that you're looking for, you can hone in so much higher quality product. This Bubble Mama is the washer, but they also feature the person who did the breeding on here, Farmhouse Studios, Schwale they sometimes go by. They grow, as they say, for hash. They look for plants that have super large heads and even some trichomes that are multi-headed. The goal is just to collect more as you're doing that washing. You get higher yields, you get more of that terp profile. And I brought this in because I think the flavor, smell, and just everything on this jar is so unique. It's been sitting in my fridge for a couple weeks, and I've sort of been waiting you'll see there's not a ton left in there, but I wanted us to dab a little bit to get your thoughts on it. Because roasted lemons is one of those flavor profiles that's relatively new. These genetics just came out about 6 months ago. But I think this is going to be that next flavor that I'm going to be chasing for who knows how long.
That has me excited. That has me super intrigued. It's a pretty jar. The nose is awesome. I'm a big lemon guy. We had a jar of Amarillo probably last year that I might have brought in, actually. We might have smoked some of that together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lemon is a super old flavor. I mean, that's not anything new. Super lemon haze goes back a long time.
But it's hard to actually, there's some lemon in there. Yeah, it's hard to like really nail it. You know what I'm saying? I have lime time from a company, Hashish, and I didn't bring it for a reason. They didn't nail it, unfortunately.
Okay, there we go. Well, so let's rip a dab of that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on if we get as much of that lemon, that citrusy on the flavor as you do on the nose. I brought in my favorite tangy for you to try. I'm bringing in my favorite lemon for you to try. I live in the citrus.
Know me.
That's where
You know me.
Absolutely.
Should I?
My favorite, please. Here's another question for you, not at all lemon related. Cap Junkie, a recent trend, if you
Shout
will,
out
in
Cornell
the cannabis
that put
community.
me onto that as well.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that family of profile? Of course, we got the cap from Capulator Genetics on there, the origin of a lot of that, but it's been something that's been busting around all over recently.
Okay, so you know what's tough? This is I might be just too stoned, but I've only ever had it once.
Oh, all right.
And
Well, here, give that a sniff.
see, that's the thing is, if you only have one data point, it's almost like you can't see
that's fair.
in 3D, like in stereo.
All right, so
And
you're
so I don't really have a good reference point for the strain itself. I don't think I got maybe some like bubble gum and gas out of it.
so here's your homework assignment. We're gonna get together again in April. We're gonna make it an annual tradition.
Please.
Let's try to get a couple different cuts of Cap Junkie. We'll do a Cap Junkie tasting of 3 or 4 different
Okay.
kinds and see,
What are your thoughts?
So it's been one that I've been really liking. I think it has a little bit of that citrusy note. It has a little bit of that gassy, funky note. Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't get citrus out of it, but again, I only ever had one little jar, one, I don't know the spectrum of it.
Well, we'll have to give it a tasting. But
I'm excited.
let's
about
transition
this.
to lemon. Let's get back to this one.
I'm like really excited about this roasted lemons. I like that they put the micron thing as the U in cure. That's funny.
Yeah, that's all their
Oh,
use
yeah, right,
are
exactly.
the
That's
micron.
Super cute. What is that? You would know what that thing is.
That symbol?
Yeah.
So that's the symbol for micron. For,
What is
for,
it,
for
like,
micrometer.
it's-
It's some Greek symbol.
That's what I
yeah.
figured.
Yeah.
Right, you would know.
Good old math, It's, like,
You know
it's
what's
either
funny,
Greek or
man?
Roman.
I was down the street getting my hair cut, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna go like talking about some terps and tasting," and I was like, "Yeah, that's what the podcast is called." And that's the whole thing is like, I'm a nerd, dude, and this is nerdy shit to a certain point, and there are so many different angles and ways that you can nerd out and approach it. Man, there's just so much to digest,
Yeah, 100%.
550. So yeah, we're about there. I keep forgetting about that too.
Roasted Lemons by Bubble Mama, Farmhouse Studio Genetics. Is beautiful jar. I'll go ahead and show it off for the camera there. It's a fun one.
I'm going back
Holographic
for
on
another
top.
one, actually.
Oh yeah, that is all you, my friend. Please do.
Sure?
Please. Oh yeah. No. I'll totally take a hit of that.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
because I want
Yeah.
to make sure I got it at the right temp.
Oh, it's so good.
It came off the dabber really nicely, so it got put in there maybe a little warmer than I'd like, but that's the thing. I think that it's
I like that.
roasted lemon, right? I got the profile.
It feels like it was lemon that was in the oven. You
Right.
get like funky, rich lemon notes on the nose, and then you get that roasted lemon flavor.
It's like a different citrus fruit. It's
Yeah.
like it's not like one that I've ever had. It's like one from somewhere I've never been, and it just tastes smokier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's such a fun profile. That was one that I was really excited to get. And
It's like if I ate lemons from Kalita.
yeah.
You ever go there on 50th and Penn or something like that? Yeah, where they got like that kind of like charred smoke, kind of Oaxacan style.
I've not been there,
Bro,
but I
it's a
totally
fire
know what type
spot.
of food you're talking about. Where
It's his best restaurant. I'm gonna be honest. It's DDP's best restaurant.
smoky lemon.
Yeah, it's awesome. That kicks ass. I want to smoke a little more hash. You
Yeah.
should, just for a shout out, or you should at least smoke some of this Monkey Dog pineapple smoothie.
All right, I'll probably try it. I'll happily try a dab of that, but then I have one more thing that I need you to try a dab of
do
before we
the
go. Is that
grand
okay?
finale. No, it's not okay. Dog, twist my arm. Let's
All right,
go.
all right, I will. Yeah, so Monkey Dog Farms, I've been seeing this on Instagram a lot. The pictures of this have been looking incredible, and the nose on it is awesome. This is a really cool
the man.
one.
I'll just say that it's grown very close to my house.
Shout out Trusted Farms, the washer.
Yep. And I've had Trusted wash for me as well, and Trusted did a great job. I don't think I've ever had a professional do a bad job. I've only had it done a couple times.
Man, I love this. I gotta hold this jar up for the camera here.
Super fun. The
Make it hard
last
for
one
Jordan.
had a little sticker on the inside. Like when you finished the dab, it was just Michael Cera staring at you.
Now I want all my dabs to have Michael Cera at the bottom, just staring back at me.
I want like either like a sad face that I finished my jar, like a judging face of like you're smoking too much hash, dude.
That's so good. All right, I'm going to take this one on the Puffco. So this is Monkey Dog crossed with Trusted, Pineapple Smoothie, which is Pineapples in Space, and Melon Farmer. Oh, man, I've been loving those. Pineapples in Space, I got some of Ope Solventless cut of that.
And you...
So good.
It's just the straight pineapples?
Yeah.
That's not what's in here.
No, so that is the GMO pie, which is another... Oh, man, we just have too much good hash in front of us for us to all do today. Yeah. But here, I'm going to load some of this up in the Puffco so I can give this a try as well.
This smells like I'm walking through like a forest in spring, where it's like I've like fresh, wet dirt.
Oh, yeah. So I got
worms,
2 jars of the Super Boof, because I'm a Super Boof stan, and then 1 jar of that one. I crushed the Super Boof in like a day and a half. And then that one I've been holding on to because that is a super unique profile, different than normally what I get, but I love it. I agree with you. It's super light, super fresh. It's a fun one. You get a little bit of that like garlicky, but yeah, it's like you're walking through the woods. Shia LaBeouf.
Can I say that I'm high enough right now to the point where like I kind of faded out of what you were saying there and was just thinking about like how this is what I like. I go home and I'm like, hey honey, like, yeah, I got so high. That's what I did for
I was working today.
I went and got
we unfortunately had to do like 8 dabs. It was pretty tough.
I smoked a bunch of rosin. Like, this sucks. God damn, man. Twist my arm.
Wow.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, dude. But let's take a moment to sort of shout out some of the incredible local producers, because you and I were both talking about our first entry into into concentrates.
Monkey,
was
let's go, buddy.
Super limited availability, generally blasted material. We're now at a point where in Minnesota, we have access to just some incredible washing, some incredible flour. The scene in Minnesota has just exploded. Was there good stuff here before? 100%, absolutely.
It was so hard to find.
Legalization has made the community
and
so much easier to connect.
He couldn't find his keys and like, oh god, this shit was like a half-gram short.
All right, I'm going to grab that from you, and then I got to ask, what's the longest you've ever waited for someone to show up to buy something from them? Like, have you ever waited in a parking lot for more than 30 minutes for someone?
Oh, bro, I've had people not show up. Like, this is a question I don't want to answer because it's a that's
dark
fair. Rabbit hole.
That's super fair. I think we can just leave it at too long.
Bro, and every time you just think to yourself, why the fuck why isn't this legal? Like, why am I doing this? Yeah. Why do I need to?
All right, man. Well, so the grand finale, what I brought in here. Oh, actually, no. Sorry, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that in just a second. Tell me what this is that you brought in.
Thank you, dude. So it's a low-dose hemp product.
Cool. All right.
From some boys that are doing a brand SAP. They're local in Minneapolis. They're super dope. Nick and Henry.
10 servings in this one pouch. Are you okay if I open it up?
Dude, please open it and dig in there because they're fruit buttons. It's 5 milli fruit buttons. I think they're super cute. I think they're super tasty.
Wow. And I love that the ingredients are literally like puree, juice, sugar, pectin, THC.
It's just such a perfect way. It's like you'll see in a second. I kind of don't want to ruin the surprise. They do a good job with the child proofing, but you'll get it.
They're so good. We've joked so many times it's tanner proof, but
nah, you'll get it. So check that out.
Ooh,
it's like a fruit leather button.
Oh, neat.
So it's like a natural, like a little bit more. It's not a gummy. You know what I mean? I think they're super tasty. If you don't mind popping, it's a 5 milli. They do a really nice job dosing on those like fruit by the foot style strips. I mean, that's pretty tasty, yeah? Will you keep digging in that packet for a second, though, for me? Because in the mango flavor specifically, no, inside the bag it'll be.
Yeah.
Dig a little bit further. Yeah, check that out. They throw little packets of tahini in there, dude.
No shit.
Yeah, the mango flavor. These boys are on point, I'm telling you. And the wholesale price is like super reasonable. It's like very comparable to any other gummy you're going to have on the shelf.
Oh, dude.
3 different flavors. They're doing regular and nano. Shout out Sap, dude.
I'm going to be eating all of them.
How fire
Terrible.
are those? I'm super stoked about this product. I just think it's going to be a really fun alternative to gummies that people can slide in their pocket and rock 50 million to a show or a baseball game or whatever.
I went to a
You need
Minnesota
50
Frost
minutes,
game the
yeah.
other day and carried in a
Wait,
40 milligram
Frisbee
gummy.
team?
No. Professional women's hockey.
Oh, sorry.
Second
ladies.
season. No, you're all good.
Shit.
No, so good.
Cut that.
No, they lost the first game that I went to, but then they won the game just the other night. Shout out Minnesota
Shout
Frost.
out. Okay. I
Wow,
don't even
dude,
remember
that's
the
really good.
Frisbee
I'm gonna have to
team.
eat the rest of
Wind
this.
Chill or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sub-Zero's those the you? No, that's Grey Duck. Sub-Zero was that logo with the snowmen was dirty, dude. Shout out Ultimate Frisbee.
There we go. All right, well, so grand finale. I'm excited to bring this in. I was up north earlier today doing some washing, and my buddy, Trichome Collectors, told me I had to bring this jar in to show to our buddy Sam. He told me that you would specifically enjoy this. Now, this is limited craft batch, not rosin, but piatella.
If that jar goes missing later.
Oh, shoot. Rosin is really cool. You've got some wonderful bubble hash that you've washed, you've now taken. You're pressing through bags using pressure and heat to get out the wonderful oil that we've got on the table in front of us. Piatella is different. You're instead taking that wonderful bubble hash that you have, you're jarring it up, you're putting it in the fridge, and you're just allowing it to cure, to collect, to come together, and to form this. So this is OMFG, outdoor Minnesota-grown piatella. We'll go ahead and hold it up for this camera here. I was excited to show it off to Jordan, but I guess we'll show it off to everyone else as well.
It looks wild.
Now, we've got to say, before we do it, it's going to leave the nail a little bit dirtier, but what's nice is we're going to use like 2-3 Q-tips, get it all cleaned up again, because this has not been purified through that rosin bag. You're getting a much fuller spectrum,
She'll
if
be
you will.
sitting in the ISO for a little bit.
And this is just the 90U. So
Crazy.
it's such a limited,
So do you, and this is probably my third time smoking piatella.
Mm-hmm.
Do you smoke it at a lower temperature than
Such a great question.
rosin?
So I generally go in right around 500.
What were you going with cold care?
So that one I did at Dabbler earlier, I went in at like 515 and it felt pretty good.
So you went a little warmer.
I mean, that like 515 range. I find if I pull it off the dab right when it says 515, by the time I'm doing the dab,
You know what? Would you prefer to scoop it?
no, all you, my man. I was asked to bring that in specifically to show it off
So
to you and
sweet of you, right?
to have it here in the studio. Shout out Trichome Collectors.
You know, it looks like it would be difficult to get a fruit profile in there, and yet I know that there is one.
Yeah.
Not just because I can smell it, but because I know that Casey, that's why he sent you with this jar.
Yeah. OMFG is the cultivar. I'm actually really excited to bring this in because I got to be part of the crew that
That's
harvested, please, this monster of a plant.
That's not the 12-footer.
No, this is not that giant one, but this one was very, very large. Shout out to Growing Outdoors in Minnesota. Oh, no. We're good. I got you, friend. Bingo. Incredible rip there. Thank you for the ASMR of that.
I'm sorry about that, boys.
No, not at all. I felt bad. I was looking around. We actually don't have another carb cap up here. I've got one in the bin over there, but that's It's not helpful now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro, I want to say like like the picture like the fruit of the loom fruits
Yeah.
with the grape
The
in there.
whole bundle of all of them in the cornucopia.
But it's like it also has I love bubble hash, dude. It
Yeah.
also has
There's saffron.
a deep bubble funk.
Oh, yeah.
So I just am getting to the bottom, and I haven't been able to bring myself to finish it, of this papaya bubble that it wasn't piatella, but was like a wild style temple ball in a similar vein. And it has a similar sweet funk flavor. And the reason that I haven't been able to bring myself to finish it is because it's one of those jars that you get, Tanner, that this is a special jar. And no matter how hard I look, no matter how many dispensaries I go to or who I know, or who I talk to, it might be difficult to find this awesome of a flavor again.
Mm-hmm.
And that what I just smoked has a similar vibe, and it's going to make it easier for me to go home and finish that jar.
There we go. Yeah. I have heard it described as it's like an old school kind of stoned. It's like makes you
Bubble,
feel like when
dude.
you
It's
first
bubble.
started smoking, and it is.
Yeah, when
It
you
is
were
wonderful.
taking hot knives off the stove in your college house, dude, off Como, you know what I'm saying? And that's where our glowies came in.
There we go. Well, man, I so appreciate you coming into the studio today to join us, to bring in some terps to show off.
It was
to
a pleasure,
share in
dude.
mine.
I haven't gone on camera really since the whole
Oh, yeah.
lawsuit thing, and to anybody that was approved and not affected, I am so sorry.
No, I mean, we've talked about it a lot on this
I'm
show.
upset
I think
and
it's
frustrated, and I don't mean to bring that up into this, but call me if you got questions or have concerns or comments. I'd love to talk to you. And we did what we felt like we had to do, and I know that
appreciate
you
that, man.
work
For
for
sure.
the firm that helped us out, or
yeah.
we kind of stood with, and so appreciate that, and appreciate everybody fighting the good fight, and really appreciate the good flavors.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw this incredible meme on Instagram the other day that it was the chaos of OCM, the delay in lottery, the lack of director, all just like flowing out of the machine, and then someone slapping some of that tape on the side.
That's your buddy.
That
That's
said
your buddy.
Hash.
Green Machine, right?
Yep.
Bro, he's coming with the memes. This
Such
kid's
good memes.
so funny. I love it.
Yeah,
Shout out
and
Green
that's
Machine.
honestly how I and all of my friends that I know have been dealing with this recently. Is I guess we just do bigger dabs. Well, thanks for joining for an extended segment of Tanner's Terp Tasting. I appreciate you coming in, bringing in some hash. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you a bit more?
Hit me, Sam at Milstagrams.com. You can just check out my website, Milstagrams.com.
Bingo.
We'll talk.
Awesome. Well, we'll be right back. Thanks for coming, Tim. Northern Lights is brought to you by Dabbler Depot THC. With 3 Twin Cities locations, Dabbler Depot is proud to deliver expert knowledge, finely crafted products from gummies and seltzers to grow tents and nutrients, as well as a one-of-a-kind cannabis shopping experience to all levels of enthusiasts, growers, and the canna curious. Their East Side St. Paul store, Seed and Sesh, is also the happy home of the podcast you're listening to right now. So be sure to stop by every Friday between 2 and 4 p.m. to get a live look at your favorite cannabis podcast being recorded. On top of that, you're also welcome to come to the Seed and Sesh every Tuesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. for their home grower meetup night. Come hang out and get connected with the ever-growing cannabis community here in the Twin Cities. Dabbler Depot's Seed and Sesh can be found at 951 Payne Avenue, St. Paul. Their flagship store is located at 1545 West 7th Street, St. Paul, and their South Minneapolis location is at 4152 South 28th Street, right across the street from the Baker's Wife Bakery. Or you can shop online, DabblerDepotTHC.com. Dabbler Depot THC, growing plants growing community. Northern Lights is brought to you by the Winter Beer Dabbler, Minnesota's premier craft beer festival. The winter weather will be upon us before we know it, which means the best beer party of the year is getting closer and closer. Join your fellow hardy Minnesotans at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds on February 22nd, 2025 from 3 to 6:30 p.m. and enjoy unlimited samples from hundreds of breweries, cideries, and other yummy libation creators. With general admission, early access, and designated driver tickets available, there is an opportunity for everyone in your crew to have a brew-induced blast. For tickets and more information, you can visit beerdabbler.com/festivals. Winter Beer Dabbler. So, Minnesota. And we're back. Welcome to another segment of Tanner's Terp Tasting. I'm here with Kale of the Dabbler Depot. Welcome, Kale.
What's going on? We're back.
Super excited to have you here for our usual Tanner's Terp Tasting. People probably know the bit by now, but if you don't, we're going to be dabbing some oil. We're going to be talking about it, and we're going to be rating it on our token system. 0 through 10, how good do we think it is?
Absolutely.
Now, I'm really, really excited to bring this jar in today. This is flower that was grown in Minnesota, washed in Minnesota, turned into this beautiful, beautiful rosin that we have here. And this actually is award-winning rosin.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so going back to the Legacy Cup, they had a couple solventless categories this year. Happy's Headstash won for best concentrate that was not rosin. He reached out to me on Instagram, said I'm going to be at Eco Garden Supply. You want a gram of rosin?
Nice.
And I went, of course I do.
Super cool.
So met up with him. It was cool being able to hang out, sesh a little bit. He let me take this jar, and man, am I excited to bring it in today.
Awesome. Well, yeah, let's get it rocking.
Yeah, so clearly not a ton for us to talk about on the outside of the jar, but what inside is truly special.
Yeah, it's the inside that counts.
Yeah, so Rainbow Belts number 5 is what we've got in here today. Rainbow Belts is a cross from Bloom Seed Co. Rainbow Belts number 5 is one specific phenotype of that cross that you can buy a clone of, and that's where this came from. So give that a smell. I think this one has an incredible smell and an incredible flavor. I know I say that a lot, but you really get that sweetness and that rotten coming together.
Yeah,
in this
you
one.
get the rot. I'm getting the rot. It definitely, it's sweet. It's got kind of like a sour punch to it on the nose, and then you start to get some of the like more like kind of dank
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally, I mean, people already know I'd go for those citrus terps 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
But this rotten fruit is one that I've just been loving recently. So excited to give this one a go. We'll hit this on our Puffco. I'll go ahead and get this loaded up here. Yeah. Shout out to Happy Headstash. Thanks so much for letting us bring a jar of this in.
Ooh,
Yeah. B-roll. Yep. Oh, yeah. We'll take a look at the oil first before Tanner grabs a dab of it. I'm just so excited. Oh, yeah. Take a look at that oil right there. Man, has such a great color to it, such a great consistency. The terps hit you as soon as you open that jar. Let's go ahead and get this loaded up into our Puffco here. Got a fat glab we'll be loading up. People have commented and said, man, you guys load a lot into the Puffco, and it's just so we can get a full taste on it, you know. Can't miss out.
Yeah, can't miss out.
Got the lights turned on today. I've also been told, why do you run it in stealth mode? And, well, we won't while we're in the studio. Exactly.
Yeah.
Can't have everyone know when you're doing tabs, right? All right, so we'll let this finish heating up, and then we'll give this a taste.
Yeah, it's purely cosmetic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So is that the 3DXL chamber?
This is, yeah.
Okay.
Give that to you to rip.
Some good ASMR.
People love the ASMR. Got to make sure the whole crew gets it. I think that flavor is incredible. You get so much of that rotten fruit in that aftertaste. Like you exhale and it's just straight rotten.
Absolutely, yeah. You get the rotten fruit. You also do get kind of a punch of kind of drier sheet. Like I get kind of like a drier sheet taste on the exhale as well.
Yeah,
like you have the undertones of the rotten meat on the back of the palate, but definitely on the front.
Yeah, it's almost like that's a little bit of the terp profiles fighting together. You get like that sweetness, that funkiness coming together to taste like dryer sheet.
Yeah.
I dig it. Yeah,
Combination of flavor.
A combination of flavor. It's what people look out and seek for. Man, this one is super good. We actually have a little bit left in there, so we're going to heat it one more time, make sure we get the full flavor. Wow, this one's good. I'm excited to get in there. Let you finish that one off.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, that rotten terp profile is one that I think has just been so fun to see really explode on the market. We're getting so much more.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, of that just like fruit gone bad, but in a good way.
Fruit by the funk.
Fruit by the funk. Man, if that's not a cultivar name yet, it absolutely should be. Do you mind handing me one of those glop mops over there? We're going to do our usual Q-tip check on this, just seeing how much of this material is left behind. Is there burnt plant material, or is it mostly just sort of little bits of oil? Wow. Clean. One of the cleanest Q-tips we've had on this show so far.
Super clean.
No burnt material on that at all. You can see little bits of like the oil left behind, but man, that's clean.
Super clean.
Super clean on the taste, super clean on the nail. Wow, I like this one.
Yeah.
Shit. All right. Well, now comes the hard part. Like every time we come in here, I'm so excited to bring the oil in. I'm so excited to show off the jar, to show off the terps. And then we get to the part where we have to rank it on a 0 through 10. And I'm like, oh, I didn't really prepare for this.
I'm glad I left
don't really know what to do.
On my last couple assessments. So
yeah. This one is up there. I mean, people know generally on that citrus side, but I gotta say, I think personally for me, this is a solid 9.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that rotten terp profile getting much better than this. Maybe a little bit more of that sweetness could be cool to mix into it, but that is knockout. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would give it like a 9.5. It's up there. It's one of the better rosins I've probably had in a long time. So I can see why it's award winning for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for bringing it in. That's super cool.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, thanks Happy's Headstash. We're going to put his Instagram handle in the show notes. Go and give him a follow because seriously, he hit me up. He was like, "You guys want to try this?" Thanks so much for letting us try this. This one is fire. This is going to be not long in the fridge because that's going to be gone pretty soon. All right, so let's lock it in at a 9. I like 9. That feels pretty good. Award-winning Terps, highest score we've given yet on this show. We'll see if there's that mythical 10 that we'll bring in at some point. But man, that was a great one. If you guys have tried this one, drop it in the comments below. What do you think? If you have something else you want us to try on this, drop it in the comments. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. Reach on out. We're always willing to try new stuff. So, yeah, man. Shout out again to Happy's Headstash. That one is fire.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we will be right back. And we're back. All right, so during this part, we're going to take a step away from the news and we're going to be trying some edibles and we're going to be doing our high note to wrap out this week. Steve, tell us about some of the edibles that we have in the studio today.
Yeah, so we've got King Bee Cannabis Company, founded by Cole Arisman.
Okay.
He's a beehive grower. He raises bees.
Yeah, very cool. So we tried some of these gummies on the show a couple weeks ago, but they were just the plain honey gummies. So sweetened just with honey. Super duper good. I'm generally not a fan of like honey heavy foods, but what I love about this is you get some of that like rich bold honey flavor. You get a little bit of the floral accents. And so I'm so excited to bust these ones out that come with other flavors in them.
Yeah, 50 milligrams THC. You can take the whole package if you want.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Blueberry lavender. And what's yours?
So this one is raspberry lemonade.
Nice. I like this. I'm excited for Cole. He's got a drinks line. He's got different gummies. He does apparel. He actually printed the Garrison Hempfest bags for me.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got multiple businesses, and cannabis is a foray of his, and he makes a really good product.
I love it. Well, so I'm excited to bust these open. I mean, which one should we start with today? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I want to start with the raspberry lemonade.
Let's do it. All right, so we're going to bust this one open here. As you were saying, they're 5 milligrams per gummy piece, classic 50 milligram pack.
Low dose, hemp derived, available at Natrium and, across Minnesota. He's got a good distro model going.
Wow, you've got that wonderful honey color to it, a little bit of that like red hue of the raspberry.
Raspberry lemonade.
I'm excited to give this one a sample here.
Yeah, this is a nice gummy. I like the cube shape. Bingo.
Did we get that on camera?
We did.
Oh my god, that's not a skill of mine. I've been eating edibles for years, so I can't do that.
Hey, we complement each other well.
Wow, that's really good.
It's a fun gummy. Oh yeah, lemonade spike.
Yeah, right in like the afternote. Like you get the honey, the raspberry sort of on the front end. That lemonade sort of settles in as you eat it a bit more. I like that one. Jordan, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree. I think that the honey is up front, but then it just kind of mellows out into the more citrusy and lemonade. Like I feel like I always go the nostalgia route, but it's like that country time lemonade. Like you pour just too much of it into the pitcher, barely throw water into it, and then just have like a crazy
Very
sweet
much
lemonade
so.
ground
Very
up.
much so.
But it's better than that. It's much better than like that.
Well,
Overly sugary. It's not sugary.
but
sweet.
the guy who was in the lab formulating that probably pulled from that same reference.
yeah.
I love that it's made with Minnesota honey. What I think is cool about our Minnesota-grown cannabis community is that it's featured so many other Minnesota-grown, Minnesota-made products, items, and honey is one of those that I've really grown to appreciate more recently of some of the Minnesota local honeys, some of the different flavor profiles that you can get in that, and this is the knockout. I like that.
Wouldn't it be cool if the gummy packaging could have MN Grown logos on the back?
Yeah, that would be really cool. I saw a rosin jar with that on it recently, and I was wondering if Minnesota Grown is cool with that being used.
Shut up, Tanner.
Shut up. All right. Let's try the next gummy. So next one that we're going to be trying is the blueberry lavender. I'm stoked about this one. I got to be honest though, because I've said it before on the show.
Yeah.
I'm generally not a fan of lavender,
No.
but I'm excited to give the berry profile of this a try. Let's go ahead and bust into this. All right. An entirely different color to this one.
Okay. As I was expecting, but where I'm hoping is that the blueberry overpowers the lavender here.
Yeah. All right.
Should we try 2 for 2?
Yeah, let's see if we can do it.
Just on
Not a lavender guy.
No,
Yeah.
that's not.
And people aren't even going to know that's like the 5th take that we've done of them. No, I'm just kidding. Wow.
That's good. That's really good. So I was working at Superior Molecular when these products got developed.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to shout out Ian Laska.
Okay.
He's the R&D formulator who is really in tune with flavors and has ran the lab there and is a great guy. And so I think he knocked both of them out of the park.
Yeah. Yeah, that blueberry on that one I really, really love. That's a nice note to it.
It is.
The
It's
lavender
juicy.
comes sort of at the end.
I think I prefer the lemonade one. Like the lavender. I usually like blueberry. I usually like lavender. But
Yeah.
the lavender is kind of like, potpourri, like
Yeah.
floor, like something you'd go into somebody's great aunt's bathroom and there would be like
Yeah.
some arrangement that would. It's kind of giving me that like potpourri type.
I totally agree with that.
Floral note.
I don't know if I need lavender in my gummies. So yeah, that raspberry one is the one that I would go to 9 out of 10 times.
But we're just
But I
three
do like
guys.
it.
But
Yeah.
we're just 3 guys. What do we know?
Absolutely. And I know so many people that would say, wow, blueberry lavender, like that's so the floral that's so light. That's really like a nice sort of, it's not like a heavy gummy.
Yeah.
And that's to each their own. I dig it.
So you like raspberry lemonade gummies.
Yep.
And citrus terps.
Yep.
Makes sense.
He's a sweet guy. He's just a sweet guy.
It's what I do. It's what I do.
Tanner Bears.
Tanner Bears, he likes his sweet terps. Wow. Well, those were good. Thanks, King B, for those gummies. That raspberry one, I'm definitely going to have to come back to. The original one that we had, all gone. All gone already.
For sure. I mean, you can pick these gummies up at Dabbler Depot, and you can find King B at our holiday party.
Yeah. That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Wow. Well, guys, that's all that we had before our high notes for this week. People know the high notes. This is how we end out our every episode. Things that we've been thinking about, something we saw during the week, something that we've been just, want to bring into the studio.
Yeah.
Generally not cannabis related, but sometimes it is. Yeah.
Inspired.
Cannabis inspired. There we go. Jordan, I feel like we generally make you go last. And I never want to be the guy who's just like always making you go last.
It's okay. With the last name I have, it's a
Swing and a whip.
Late in the alphabet, as they would say. So I'm used to kind of pulling up the rear end of things.
I would say how I empathize with that, but my last name starts with B, so fuck you from the front.
Kick rocks, bud.
We'll go alphabetical.
Yeah, there we go. So what are you thinking about? What do you think about this week?
Well, I could go a couple different directions. Both are media related in terms of I have a show recommend. I'll let you guys pick a show recommendation or a question about video games.
Hit us with the show recommendation, and if we make it all the way around,
yeah, we'll come back to the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the show recommendation. Are you guys familiar with the work of Guy Ritchie, the director Guy Ritchie?
yes.
I don't know if I am. So fill me in. Who is?
He's a English director. His style of filmmaking is he's like Steve. Would you say he's like the English Tarantino?
Yes.
Like very fast paced use of split screen, like use of like handwriting on the screen as like graphics. At, like,
Okay, cool.
All right, here's the plan. Step 1, and like yellow pen starts like coming up, and like it's a pretty stylized way of storytelling. But
He married Madonna at one point.
Oh, that's
I think
exciting.
so.
Okay,
I think
very
so.
cool.
Good pull. Nice.
Holiday.
He has recently, it's not like new, but on Netflix, he's done a TV version of kind of the same universe as one of his movies that came out a few years ago called The Gentleman. And it's basically about where old family money England meets dirty underground gang world
Okay.
England. And
That sounds hot.
it's a super fun story that is very, very tightly connected to cannabis and the industry of cannabis, and in the context of the English underworld.
Where can we find it?
That's on Netflix, called The Gentleman.
Okay.
My partner, who generally doesn't love like action and guns and gang and blah blah blah, she's in it because I think the Guy Ritchie storytelling component like keeps her locked in, and so we've been watching that while I'll go outside, have a smoke, she'll have a small little gummy, and we'll just fall into that world of old world money meets new cannabis industry money, and it's a pretty interesting story. That's about all I can say without giving much any importance away. So
I'll have to give it a watch.
Yeah, it's very fun. I think hour-long episodes, probably 8 episodes. So
Okay.
yeah,
Sounds
So
like a
far-
weekend binge.
so far just one season. Obviously, I think it came out over the fall, late summer, early fall. But
We're on season 2.
we're beating
The Gentleman.
them. Yeah,
Yes.
well done, guys. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, there we go. I like it. Well, I'll check that one out. Gentlemen on Netflix. We'll
Yes.
give it a go. Steve, what have you been thinking about this week? What is your high note of sorts?
Yeah, I mean, Netflix is cool, but have you ever been to a live show?
Have I ever been to a live show, like a live music show?
Yeah,
or-
like a concert?
I've heard of them.
No,
but-
I mean, you've been to concerts, but have you seen the prices of concert tickets lately?
It is bonkers.
I think I know where you're going with this.
How high would you be willing to sit knowing you have to pay over $100 to go see Kendrick Lamar and SZA? How high? How high? Would you be willing to sit in section 338? I mean, ticket prices are out of this world. They're double what they used to be.
Yeah. So that means if I'm bringing someone with, I'm looking at like $250.
Quadruple. There you go. Yeah. So you're not 2 people, a date. I mean, this is just to get in the door is over $300 with fees. I mean, shout out to Amy Klobuchar. She's trying to get those fees down, but we're looking at over $300 to go to SZA. And the reason why I bring it up, April 19th, it's the day before 420. 420 falls on Easter this year.
Oh, yeah.
This is a stadium tour, which Drake has never done. Kendrick Lamar is doing a stadium tour with SZA. It kicks off at US Bank Stadium. So I'm not just like, oh, Kendrick Lamar. You know, it's like, no, Minneapolis is the start of the stadium tour. Rappers don't usually do stadium tours. This is big. This is Taylor Swift big. And he's bringing SZA, which is a great push and pull. SZA opens for Kendrick Lamar. I just don't know if $135 to sit in the nosebleeds is worth it. But I have a plan. I'm going to go to the show.
Okay.
But I won't tell you how. I have to work on it.
Steve's going to get a job at US Bank Stadium.
He's just walking around with his little sweeper and brush.
I have a friend that got a job at the Twins Stadium
Yeah.
because he liked to watch Twins games, but didn't like paying for them. He's like, I'll walk around and sell popcorn.
I have the same friend.
Wow.
Shout out Johnny.
Hey, shout out to Johnny. But what's the word of the year this year?
Oh, yeah. All right. So I was really excited to bring this one in. For people that don't know, Oxford, yes, the dictionary, every year they look at the cool new words of that year and try to pick what is the word of the year? Like what really defines 2024? Now I'm pulling up the list of the short list of what they thought the word of the year should be.
Ooh, I haven't heard this.
So it's been decided. Do you guys know what the word of the year is yet?
Feminine.
All right, so here we go. We're going to read off the 6 words, and I want you guys to tell me what you think it is. So here are the 6. Lore, like the lore, the story behind something. Romantasy.
That's kind of what you were saying.
The genre of fiction combining elements of romantic fiction and fantasy.
Kembob hash pants.
There we go. Slop, art that is considered like bad, low-key, made by AI.
Slop.
Slop.
Yep. Dynamic pricing.
Is that hyphenated?
Nope, just
2 words.
Demure.
Oh.
Very mindful. Very demure.
Very demure.
And then brain rot. What do you guys think
God.
the 2024 word of the year
Let's pick our top 3.
is?
Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out demure is in.
You want
All right.
demure?
I don't know if I want it.
So you
but-
take 3, I'll take 3.
Okay.
I'm going to take brain rot.
Okay. I think I'll take slop.
I'll take dynamic pricing.
What was the first one?
The first one that I read off was lore.
I'll take that as my third spot.
And the last one is
Romantasy?
Romantasy.
I'll take romantasy.
Any day of the week.
So who had brain rot again?
Steve did.
There you
Steve
go. Brain rot. The 2024 word of the year. The supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state, especially viewed as a result of the overconsumption of material considered to be trivial or unchallenging.
Yeah.
So you're just watching too much online content. Your brain's rotting away.
Yeah, that's
Is there like some ironic joke in here somewhere? There's got to be. I can't find it though.
There's got to be
The
something.
fact that brain rot is the word of the year.
So we're just going to quick hammer off 2023 word of the year, Riz. 2022,
Oh, no.
Goblin Mode. 2021, Vax. And then 2020 was words of an unprecedented year.
Yes.
Unprecedented year
Yep.
was the word of
2020.
2020. Well, guys,
sounds like Gen Z had a hand in a lot of these.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing a trend here.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a trend here.
the fucking kids and all these words that they're saying, all the brain rot. Ugh. Yeah. Demure actually goes back a really long time.
Right.
1400s.
Yeah,
1200s?
that's an
Old word.
old-fashioned word.
Yeah, demure apparently goes back to Oxford English Dictionary that came out in 1377. All right, this is
Really?
a tangent that we don't need to
No,
go into,
no.
but yeah. That was the first time it referred to the sea being calm. The sea was very demure.
My friend opened a bar this summer, and it's called Wild Child, and their opening cocktail list had very mindful, very demure as an option on their cocktail
I
list.
love that.
What's in that one? Do you remember?
It was very mindful.
Oh,
Yeah.
I believe it.
Very demure. Well, guys, that's all that we've got for today. That was an incredible episode. There was a lot of news that we covered. There was
Shout
a
out
lot
to
of
Milstagrams.
cash that we did. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to King B for the edibles that we had in here today. Let's give one more time for people that are still listening. We've got a party coming up. We're throwing a party. Do you remember the 20th of December from 4 to 8 p.m.? Yeah. There's lots of covers we could do. All of them to tell you guys. December 20th, 4 to 8 p.m. here at the Dabbler Depot. You guys can actually get tickets for that today. You do have to register for that. Go to our website. We'll drop that link in the show notes. You can click on that, get your ticket. We want you to come on down, get some raffle tickets, have a good time, maybe walk away with a Strokes and Bickle device. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Thanks to Dabbler Depot, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. Northern Lights is a Minnesota Cannabis College production. This episode was produced by me, Tanner Barris, and by Steve Eigenman and Jordan Whiff. Production assistance from Marcus Harkis, Shayna Payton, and John Barty. Video and audio recording at the Dabbler Depot studio by Jordan Whiff. The information provided in this podcast does not, and is not intended to, constitute legal advice, but is instead for general information purposes only. No listener should act solely on the basis of information provided without first seeking advice from their own legal counsel. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Minnesota Cannabis College. Please listen responsibly.